Hi there everyone, my name's Travis and this is Sthira Yoga. This practice today is all about slowing down, and it's about the Piscean Full Moon, which is about to occur across the skies here in Bali. It's the 12th of the Western astrological symbols, and it represents it's a beautiful opportunity to let go. And I think in that respect, I want to talk to you about control, letting go of control. So in this kind of practice, we're not looking for gripping, tension, or holding. We're looking at just letting ourselves uncover the sensation that serves us. I think that's enough for me for now. We'll get into it as we get going. You'll need a pillow or a bolster if you're happy to own one. Blocks are always welcome as well. And we're going to start by stopping. So lie down on your back in Shavasana. The control in me would say, hey, these are the shapes you want to find. Do this, do that. But why don't you just find something reclined on the mat that serves you? Your arms could be overhead, long and strong, or you might like them beside your body with the palms facing up, or the palms facing down. You let the ankles roll out, toes fall out, or fall in. Perhaps you start to close down your eyes, and there is no breath here in terms of a particular style or name or pranayama, so feel free just to let the breath be natural. If it wants to come in and out through the mouth, then that's fine. We don't want control in this class. There's, of course, an element of control in the sense I will be telling you the postures we'll be doing, but there's some freedom in the sense of finding the shape that serves you and the sensation that inspires you, provokes an opportunity to perhaps have a moment and notice what doesn't serve you anymore, and let it go. Just notice the air on the fabric of your skin, the touch of your clothes on your fabric of your skin. Notice the fragrance in the room, the temperature of the air in your lungs. And 5 more long, steady breaths. And this final breath in together, fill up all the way to the top of your lungs. And then with your open mouth, let go. Sweep the arms overhead so you create a long version of yourself, and bring the feet to touch so your toes point away and the arms reach long overhead. Maybe you're holding hands, just finding more length through the side waists. I'm going to create a half moon shape to the left. So walk your feet over to the left And once you feel like you found an expression in the legs that serves you, start to sort of maneuver the upper body over to the left as well. What I like to do here is hold on to the right wrist and draw it further across so you get more length along the underarm, armpit area, and allowing more of my both buttocks to return to the mat. So I'm not rolling to the left, I'm arching the body to the left. Crossing one ankle over the other. In my case, I'll put my right over the left. That feels good. And again, I'm not going to control that sensation for you. I'm going to ask you to inquire about it yourself. And then there's this beautiful sensation of hydration of all your tissues along the side body here. So it's your right side body that's getting the stretch, even though we've arched to the left. And when we think about hydration, it's this sense of, gently stressing the fascia and the connective tissue that runs across our bodies and allowing more space for hydration to enter and keeping those tissues supple and healthy. And then start to come back through your center. Take your time and just reset in the center line. So re-extend the arms, maybe interlace your fingers and press the palms away from you. Point and floint the toes and stretch across your shins. And then just maneuver your way in the opposite direction. So we take our feet over to the right, get that set up first in the legs, and then I like to lift the upper body and help maneuver us over, and then hold on to the left wrist. Cross the left ankle on the right. And slowly start to come back through your center. Lengthen everything out so nice and long, and shuffle and shift, shimmy and shake. Now will you be using our prop? So grab your pillow or cushion and place it on your left hand side. So we're going to roll onto our left and pretend we're like watching TV back when we were younger, and often we'd perch ourselves on our elbow. And use the space you've created underneath the ribs to slide your bolster in there, or pillow. So we want it on the ribs so that the armpit is free. So you just sort of slide it more down towards your hip. See how my knees are bent? That's going to give you a little bit more sensation, like support. And so we're just slowly going to start to lower the chest and the weight of the chest onto our pillow. And we're going to reach our arm directly out, and that's our left arm because we rolled onto our left hip. And lower the left ear down onto the deltoid and the upper arm there, that nice soft tissue. And then you could re-extend the legs, or I'm going to keep them bent. Take your right arm straight up to the sky and draw circles with the index finger in the sky. And then reverse the direction. And then let that arm drape over the head. Maybe it interlaces your fingers. And just give yourself now some time just to sort of open up across the right side, ribs and chest. Maybe a little bit of work in the armpit area of the left arm. You can almost visualize yourself as a beautiful ancient scroll being unrolled, opened up. In some respects, it's a grounding practice here, but to also feel nourished and supported, so you notice Mother Earth underneath you. This may well be very much an eyes closed practice for you today, and it certainly has been so far for me. And a lovely way to self-inquire about our bodies and areas that might be a little stagnant. Big deep breath. Really feel the lift of the torso with the breath. So it's almost like an accordion is playing in your ribs as you breathe deeply. Where are we holding? Where are we gripping? And that can be a sense of control. What are we trying to hold on to? Let's let all this just feel super nourishing now. And maybe about 10 more breaths. Okay, so from this posture, roll onto your tummies. So continue rolling over onto your tummies and maneuver yourself so you've still got the pillow underneath you, and you're really looking for that sort of lowest rib section there. So I'm just going to get that microphone out of the way. Hopefully it hasn't been crackling too much for you. And we're finding our way into Sphinx. And you're using the bolster, pillow, rolled up towel, whatever it might be, as this sense of softness and tenderness underneath our ribs. The control in me would be to stay still and follow this kind of shape, or whatever we want to say there in terms of its postural alignment. But my personal practice here as well, I feel like moving the head a little. Control can often manifest as a little bit like a drug. We think we've got it. We want to maintain it. And then it rips itself away, and we want to seek it again and again and again. And yes, we do need control for certain things. There is a society that we live in, and common decencies and elements of a harmonized civil society. So don't get me wrong. I do live in the 21st century, but cleansing ourselves of things that maybe have burdened us for these past 12 months, it's a powerful time to notice where control may have come into that equation. Does areas of our identity kind of get stuck with this sense of control? Do we identify as a certain person politically? Is it a relationship? Is it our way we were brought up? Whatever it might be, and those areas might need to be exposed. It could even be ancestral. It could be stuff we didn't even know about. It just comes up. Past life. Karma is memory. You notice in those moments where memory controls, how often do we have the wrong memory, creating an illusion, a false sense of security, an incorrect reflection of the truth. Gripping, holding on to that. Alright, so let's start to maneuver to the other side. So I'm going to have to unfortunately roll away from you. And I'm also going to have to move the microphone pack. So you're rolling onto your right hip. And once you've rolled onto your right hip, come onto your rib cage. Give yourself that space under your armpit. Right arm out. Right ear on your deltoid upper arm. And left arm will reach up to the sky. And then you'll draw some circles. And then reverse those directions. And then drape the arm over the left ear and unroll. And perhaps rather than entirely focusing on what might be seen as a negative, this concept of letting go of things that have burdened us, maybe it's an opportunity for you to invite in the change, the new, the fresh, vibrant version of yourself. Maybe this year has been a year of accomplishments and outcomes that have illuminated and uplifted you. And as you visualize yourself as a scroll, think of all that ancient information that we carry within us. Nothing is really new. We're just remembering. Remembering the past, remembering old experiences. Let's notice the difference here perhaps with the left ribs being the superior ribs. Perhaps there's a sense of a heart-lifting experience for you as the chamber of the heart is buoyant in the chest. In fact, let's encourage that sensation now as the smaller of our two lungs, the left lung, is expanded and the accordion of our ribs and all of the tiny intercostal muscles get a beautiful big stretch. So let's take a few breaths together, in through the nose. And then maybe a sigh out the mouth, in through the nose, fill up with vibrancy and vitality and fresh energy. Last one together. Now just begin to lift the chest a little and come onto your right elbow so we can just slide the bolster out of the way and have it off to one side so we can use it again. We're going to be lying back down on our tummies. So in fact, I'm going to come onto my knees first because I just need to move the battery pack. We're going to lie down on our tummies. Lift our chest a little and sweep the left arm out in front of us with the palm facing down. Roll onto our left hip slightly so our right knee slides out wide, half frog. So the right knee came out wide. You can use your right hand to help maneuver it, whatever works. And then we sort of roll more onto our chest again, so off the left hip. And right forearm becomes a pillow underneath our forehead. Take about 10 breaths here. Remembering you're worth it, so feel free to move in a way that serves you. Maybe the knee comes closer to your armpit or it goes further away. Releasing any tension and stickiness. Last 5 breaths. So keep your body as it is. Just lift your head and you'll be looking straight out towards that left hand. We're heading to a shoulder stretch that can be quite dynamic and very sensational. The left arm is going to swing out to the left like a right angle from your body. So left arm swings out with the palm facing down like a right angle from your body. So directly out to the left. Roll your left ear on the mat and look to the right. Press your right hand down and start to roll onto your left hip. Stack the knees and the ankles and create a bend in the knees. That's a lovely option with your right hand in front of your chest. Maybe you can extend your legs out long and or perhaps step your right toes behind you, expanding the twist and rotation across the front of your left shoulder. Some people like to take their right hand up, bend at the elbow, and place the back of the hand on the small of the back. This one we don't hold that long. Maybe about 5 more breaths. Our shoulders are an area we tend to gather a lot of tension. So I know that this can be quite sensational. Last 3. 2. And then last 1. Your right hand comes back in front of your body. You roll onto your tummy and then create a crocodile pose. So it's a sense of forearms crossing in front of your face to create a pillow and lower your forehead down. And I like to bend the knees here and just windscreen wiper the heels from side to side. Alright, so we're going to set all of that up on the other side. And before I do that, I'm going to move the battery pack again. So you just stay where you are. Okay. Okay, so lift your chest, look forward and take your right hand straight out in front of you, palm facing down. Slightly roll onto your right hip and slide your left knee and ankle out to the left. Bend your left arm so your left forearm or maybe even your fist becomes a pillow under your forehead. And you lower your head down. It's a half frog. last few breaths. Just start to lift your head, and there's your right hand. Sweep it straight out like that, right angle from your body. Look away from that right arm so your right ear lowers to the mat. We start to roll onto our right hip, and we bend the knees and stack the ankles and the knees. That's where you could stay with the left hand placed in front of your chest. Maybe you can extend the legs out long, and perhaps lifting your left foot up and over behind you, and maybe taking your left hand up behind and finding the small of your back. Last few breaths, so we don't hold these ones that long. So you're placing your left hand in front of your chest or face, and just slowly and gently rolling back down onto our tummies. And then start to press into a Japanese style child's pose. So inner knees, inner ankles come to touch. Drape your tummy on your thighs and sweep your arms back behind you, lowering your forehead down. And then just let your shoulder heads roll away from you. For me, immediately it's the crease of my hip that sings out with sensation. It takes quite a bit of mind stuff and nervous system awareness to sort of soothe that. Gently directing the breath there, and I know that's not possible, it's just an intention. And slowly start to roll up and off your thighs. Sit on whatever hip feels super welcoming, and swing your legs around to the front of your mat. Now, take your sit bones back and peel the fleshy parts away from underneath them. You might like to slide the pillow underneath your knees. And rather than think about, I want to reach my toes and I want to pull and I want to control and, just simply let yourself drape. Okay, and that's why I like the bent knees in this variation, because it just gives you a little more freedom in the buttock muscles and in the hamstrings. This is probably a really nice spot to sort of notice how the back of our bodies feels. This is quite a natural curvature of our spine. Maybe for you here, there's this sense of, again, that hydration of our tissues as we elongate along the spine. And that's gentle release that comes from having the elevation in our knees. And sort of welcoming in the field of gravity and knowing you're worth it. If you need to move at all and allow yourself a little chance for a deeper sensation, take that. This will be one of our longest holds so far, so we've got about another 30 seconds or so. Really nice. Everybody's starting to peel ourselves up and away from our thighs. And what about hands behind us and puff the chest out a little? Now what I'd like you to do is slide your bolster and pillow or whatever it might be up away from you. Swing your legs around and come to a tabletop position, all fours. Some cows and cats here. And now with your bolster and pillows just in front of you, slide it so that your hands come onto the bolster. And then from our all fours position, step your right foot forward, and if you need to use your hand to help you, slide the foot forward. So I'm in quite a low lunge here, and we'll take an opportunity just to give it a little bit of a stretch of the frontal hip flexor across the left thigh there. So even just a few little gentle pulses. We're heading towards Sleeping Swan, so get yourself set up by sliding the right foot, the one in front of you here, over to the left. So it's toe heeling across the top of my mat, and in that process coming onto the pinky toe edge, and I'm starting to now shift the right knee forward and sit my glute and thigh on the bolster. And I peek over my shoulder and I can see my left leg down there. The front shin does not have to be parallel with the top of your mat. It's okay to bend the knee. The bolster underneath us just gives us that little bit of extra support, cushioning and elevation, lowering down onto your forearms. And the way we got into that posture, I quite like that sensation because we really, that setup, because we really don't want more flexible knees. This is not about knee sensation here. This was about getting into the tissues around the buttock, the outer hip and thigh, maybe a little bit of inner groin. It depends on your body. And there's control issues when someone might say, oh, the shin's supposed to be parallel to the short edge of the mat. No, don't need to be that dogmatic. As I said before, it's about finding less control here and more sensation. Doing less to achieve more. Every now and then I check in with the foot, the right foot. Just give it a little wiggle of the toes. You know, in some respects you are kind of blocking energy here. Yeah, so there's a dam-like effect, right? And in that respect, don't think of that too negatively. Think of it in a way that, you know, as we build up a reservoir of hydration behind the stoppage, rather than be using the word blockage, where we'll eventually let that flow. And what does that do? You know, you watch water in the Australian outback as the rains come, and it spreads out and away and fertilizes the land and channels through the country. Same thing here, and we can think of that in the esoteric nature of our practice as our nadis. These incredible little channels that run through the body, and yeah, just giving yourself that little visualization of the sensation that you're developing here. So we've got another, say, 30 seconds. Really is no elegant way to get out of this position. So, hey, how about you do you? For me, I like to come up onto my finger pads, tuck the back toes, give myself a little bit of elevation, and then scoop the foot out and stepping back and finding ourselves in tabletop. And it's probably going to feel really nourishing to do a little bit of cat-cow and maybe even a bit of sexy cat, moving around a little. And then let's set ourselves up on the other side. So hands on the bolster, left foot forward. And first of all, just take that sensation of getting that stretch across the front of the right thigh, which should feel quite nice after that stretch, after the last Sleeping Swan. And then start to toe heel the left foot over to the right, so it comes all the way over, and shorten the angle, bring it closer towards you, starting to thrust in a way that left knee forward, sitting on the bolster, and please maneuver it to a position that feels good. And then once you've found something that you can find the sensation interesting, and there's some self-inquiry there, start to lower down onto your forearms. For me, a little bit of self-inquiry here is that because of the symmetrical nature of Sleeping Swan, where we do one side followed by the other, normally in shortish succession. Maybe you do a posture in between, perhaps not. I don't know. It gives you a really good opportunity just to say, okay, yes, there is quite a bit of difference. There isn't a lot of balance there. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that I'm obviously not in the Southern Highlands of New South Wales. I'm in the tropical island of Bali in Indonesia, and up in the mountains at Ubud. And I mean, what a pleasure for me to be able to practice outside in this perfect temperature. It's the last few days of August in 2023, and this is their period where there's not as much humidity, and Ubud is less humid because it is elevated. And I did a class today that was really transformative. It was more of a vinyasa style, so not this style of class, and it was all based around the water element. And the teacher was very tantric, and it was very fluid, obviously with regard to water, embodying and powerful. And she set me up with this theme of change. It was a very, very well orchestrated class, but throughout it there was this reminder of sort of self-inquiry and the differences from side to side and imbalances that can occur. And for me, it's this left side. Strangely enough, a long time ago, a yoga teacher told me right out of the blue, you've got a hole in your aura. And I was like, oh, how did you know that? On the left-hand side of my body, and it has stuck with me, and I do need to follow up on that, I think. But this left side is always my challenging side. So as I've probably waffled on probably longer than the other side, it's time for us to start to lift our chest. But this time, we're sitting on the bolster, sitting on our left hip. We're taking our right hand back. We're helping bring right leg forward. And then we're just going to roll off our prop onto our buttocks, but keep it where the bolster where it is, so that as we roll down, our knees are elevated, our back bodies come to the mat. It doesn't matter if you're up the other way on your mat. Maybe your feet started down here, and this time our head's going to finish up here. Hey, let's just drop the control. Drop the busyness, drop the doing, and drop into the field of gravity here. A couple of big sighs out your mouth. I'll come get you in a few minutes. If you're in a super comfortable spot and you're like, hey, I want an extra 5 minutes here, I welcome you to do that. In fact, I encourage you. But perhaps you're like me and need to continue your day, and you start to roll the ankles, wiggle the toes, maybe extend the arms, roll the wrists. And then lengthen everything out, point the toes, reach super long, and then start to roll onto your favorite hip. And bathe yourself in gratitude here in your lovely little fetal position. And then slowly start to swing your way up into your version of a comfortable seat. And if your bolster's handy, your pillow, and you want to sit up on that pillow, get a little bit of elevation, that can feel super nourishing as well. And let's just take a few moments just to reset and re-enter the world in an upright position. Seated, maybe your hands are on your thighs, or perhaps you like to cross your hands over your heart space and push the heart space up with your hands. Elevate love above all. Radiate love above all. Bathe yourself in love. Feel the channels that connect you here, pulsating with rhythm and vibration. Lift the corners of your lips and create a lovely little smile to yourself. Bring your hands to your heart space, draw your chin towards your chest. Thank yourself for showing up today. Thank yourself for setting aside these valuable moments in your day. Thumbs to your third eye. Loka samasta sukhinu bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. Greet this beautiful version of yourself in the remainder of your day with the Hindi word Namaste. Thanks for practicing, everyone, in beautiful Ubud. How can you not be inspired? My hips feel fantastic. My shoulders feel super open. I hope yours do too. Hope you had a nice time. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye for now.